so WWE came calling, and maybe Johnny Polo, but I never thought that was me at all. Like, I thought that should have been Shane McMahon. He should have been Johnny Polo, because that would have been the perfect character for him. But on the other hand, I actually became a legitimate member of the Mean Street Posse in real life, because the Mean Street Posse were really Shane's best friends, like that he grew up with, Pete Gaz and Joey Abs and Rodney. And since when they brought me into WWF at the time, they made me a producer of associate producer of Monday Night Raw. And so I had to move there. And so I became really good friends with them. And so I always say that I'm an actual member of the Mean Street Posse.
Now, did they, like, as soon as they hire you, that was part of the deal? You were also going to be a producer the entire time?
No, what happened is Lawler took some time off. And so Vince brought me in as a commentator to work with him. And then he really liked the fact that I came prepared. I had, was clever, creative. I had, bits that I brought. I was like, hey, Vince, if I say this, if you say this, I can say this. And he likes that. And he likes prepared, people who prepare and do their homework. And so they said, we're going to make you an associate producer of Raw. I was like, all right, so I got paid 6 figures and got an office on the 4th floor of Titan Tower, the executive floor. And my office was right across from Pat and Bruce's. But it was not what I wanted to do. And as soon as they took me off TV as a manager, that's when I knew it was time to quit. And because I got in a business to wrestle, so I knew I had to reinvent myself. And that's when I came up with Raven and changed my career, changed my luck.
We've heard some people like Vince Russo say that Bruce Prichard can be a pain to deal with behind the scenes, kind of being a real politician. Did you experience any of that, or were you on good terms with him?
No, Bruce hated me. Him and Pat did not like me. I'm 55 years old. I'm not going to get in a pissing contest now, but just as I face to say that he didn't like me and we didn't get along, and I don't think I definitely don't think my best interests were at his heart. You know what I mean? And also they were grooming me to be, because I was also writing a second run TV, the All American Mania shows, and they were grooming me to be on the booking committee, which was Pat and Bruce. There's no booking committee like there is, now. There was no writers. It was just, Pat and Bruce. Same with every company. It was just a booker. And they were grooming me to work with Pat and Bruce, and I'm sure they didn't like that. And they didn't like me, so it just compounded things. So, whatever. I haven't talked to Bruce in a long time, I don't hold any grudges, so, I don't care, and so I heard he said some nice things about me, so I'm not going to just, rag on him for no reason. You know what I mean?
And we've heard some stories about this Lisa Wolf from Al Snow and JJ Dillon. I guess she worked at the office around that time. Did you have any experiences with her?
Yeah, she was in charge of human resources, and I was her pet project. Like, they told her to turn me into a mensch, basically, because I'd show up in like Raven. I would show up in Raven clothes, and they said, no, we got to have you in a suit and tie. You got to be corporate, So they had me start wearing a suit and tie, and she was in charge of getting me to be more corporate, as opposed to, who I am, which is not corporate.
What was Shane's job in those days behind the scenes?
I don't remember. I forget. But the funny thing is I used to get so much heat, like all the boys thought I was, because me and Shane hung out, that I was sucking up to the boss's son. But in actuality, I was burying myself, because Shane would always go out. I'd always bring him out with me, and we'd go out till 5 a.m, and then he'd call his dad, and he'd and because on TV, like, I always loved this comedy bit where you call the guy by the wrong name. So I would call Vince Vic on TV. I'd go, hey, Vic. And he goes, Vince. And I'm like, oh, sorry, Vic. And then so Shane started calling his dad Vic, which did not help my career any. And then Shane goes, and, and then Shane would be like at 5 a.m. He's like, "Hey, Dad." Hey, he goes, "Hey, Vic, I'm staying at Johnny Polo's tonight," which was just burying me. I'm like, "Oh, you're killing me. Don't call your dad Vic when you're hanging out with me," you know. And he just thought it was funny, but but also they didn't like their son being out till 5 a.m. hanging out with me, who was drunk all every night, So it buried me. It didn't have the it did not help my career one iota, and probably negatively impacted hugely. Even though I got heat from the boys for being for exact opposite.
We always hear that it's likely going to be Triple H possibly taking over from Vince if he ever passes or steps down. Do you think Shane would have been the better person because he seems more cool, for lack of another word, than Triple H and Stephanie? They don't seem to be doing anything too great right now with Triple H running NXT creative.
Well, it's funny. Shane was always groomed for it. Shane always was like, back then he used to be like, "Me and you are going to be the Pat and Bruce of the '90s," And I was like, "Yeah," I'm like, oh, "That'd be great," But I think I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to Shane in years.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.